Welcome back to Exquisitely Aligned. I'm your host, Gina Meyer Vincent, and I'm delighted to share with you a brilliant woman today. Here at Exquisitely Aligned, we help you express your finest self so you can live life on your terms, shining brilliantly and unapologetically. And my guest today does that perfectly. I want to read you her bio. So my guest today, Carrie Ann Cartmer Edward, likes to say she has had 3 careers. And you probably know, if you listened to last week's episode, I am a fan of always realigning and using our gifts in many different ways. Here's how she's done it. First, as a fashion designer in Sydney, Australia. Second, as a full-time wife and mother of 3 in the UK. Okay, talk about changing it up. Location, what she's doing. I love it. And the third, and by far the most challenging, I think in a great way, as a brand and marketing strategist for online entrepreneurs the world over. She uses her superpowers to help entrepreneurs showcase their brilliance with a mix of one-on-one coaching, online programs, and mastermind retreats in some of the world's most fabulous cities. And I can attest to that. Little known facts about this gorgeous woman, Carrie Ann. She has dived with sharks, bent steel bars with her throat. Yes. Luckily, I wasn't there with her on either of those. walked across 1,200 degree coals. I like it hot, but maybe not that hot. And even thrown herself out of a perfectly good airplane, which I hope I never have to do. Her favorite things are travel, music, dancing. And here we are very similar. Champagne, red lipstick, and things that sparkle in no particular order. And so welcome, beautiful Carrie Ann, who I like to call not only somebody I've met years ago in a fabulous place called Marrakesh, but somebody who's helped me bring my brand to life and a dear friend. So welcome. I am so happy to have you here with me today.
I am so delighted to be here, gorgeous woman. I'm so excited for this.
Yes. So there's so many things we can talk about, but one thing that Exquisitely Aligned stands for is us being visible and creating beauty, in how we appear, like wearing a smile as an accessory. You and I both like sparkle in so many ways. Sparkly wine, right? Sparkly jewelry.
Oh, yeah.
And the sparkle of, a nice big smile and what makes us come alive. And so I believe you show up and shine brilliantly every day of the year. Even if you didn't feel well, you would be there shining. And so I wanted to ask you, have you always been an extrovert?
No. Short answer, no. So, and I do think that most people that meet me, they just assume that I have always been an extrovert. And am I an extrovert now? Absolutely. Card carrying member of the Let's Dazzle and Sparkle Brigade. But so, to explain it, it's almost like going back to my childhood. I say that I was raised to be ordinary. And that was very much how my parents brought me up. It was like, keep your head down, don't make waves, don't draw too much attention to yourself. And
yeah, that's so I like to call that the one size fits all paradigm or life.
Yeah.
Like, it's safer, right? Mom and dad want to keep their beautiful, gorgeous daughter safe. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah. No. And so I can literally remember having a conversation with my dad. Maybe I was about 16 or something like that. And I said, I think I'd like to be a fashion designer. And he said, oh, love, just keep your feet on your ground and your head out of the clouds. And he wanted me to go and do something safe. He wanted specifically, he mentioned, learn computing. And it's interesting. And I've said this more than once, but I do believe it's true. And I've literally said this to my parents. It's like I was a baby cuckoo. It's like they loved me, but they just wondered where the hell I'd come from. You know, I just didn't fit the mold. So of course I did become a fashion designer. So yeah, I didn't follow their advice very closely.
Yeah.
Even in those days though, not really that extroverted. Like I had something in me that I knew was unexpressed, put it that way. Like I knew I was here to shake things up. I knew that an ordinary, like you called it, a one size fits all life.
Yeah.
I knew that it was not for me.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of examples around me to show me what it could be.
Right.
Although I've literally just remembered this second, there was a woman I met, and so I was still a girl. Actually, she was a little bit older. I think this was one of my first jobs. I met her, so I was like 17, something like that, and she was a bit older. She was maybe like early 20s, and she was the manager of a fashion boutique, and I was working in a fashion boutique like part-time while I was still going to school. And she just didn't follow the rules. And she was the first person I ever met that I thought, I want to be more like that, right?
And she wasn't in jail.
No, she was getting away with it. People loved it. So there were like little signposts, but to be honest, I wouldn't really say that I like stepped into my extroversion. I would really literally have to say in my 40s. It took a long time.
Yeah. And so what triggered that, or what, so obviously that woman was interesting or fascinating. I would think that she was getting away with breaking the rules without, and when we say breaking the rules, Carrie Ann and I both know that doesn't mean she was, breaking laws. She was just not following, I forgot the word you used, to be ordinary, right?
Yes.
She was not ordinary, and people were liking it. I mean, I think people are fascinated by that. They look and see, they were a little intrigued maybe, like, oh, that person can be that, and it's okay.
The sky doesn't fall in, and they're not ostracized. They're not starving to death on a street corner because they decided to be different, which is kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say that's how my parents raised me, but like, that's like a wider inference from society, isn't it? It's like, you don't toe the line, and like, bad shit can happen to you. Like,
well, I like to say, because I started, I want to say very, very much of what I focus on for my business is about that. When you're exquisitely aligned, you are your finest self, your most authentic self. And, I started doing a little research, like, why is it people aren't their authentic self? What happens? Or where did, how do they get tamed down? Or like you say, ordinary, one size fits all, what is that? So I had a conversation with Mark, my husband, and I was like, I'm just finding this fascinating. Like, for me, it was just, this is who I am, take it or leave it. There were times I tried to fit in and it didn't really quite work out for me. So in so many different ways that I realized, don't do that again, because it almost hurts, you know what I mean, to like squeeze into that box. But so I started doing some psychological research online, right? My friend Google. And, when I looked at it, it goes back centuries. I mean, this is something, not just, your mom and dad trying to keep their baby safe, and I'm guessing they did the same with your sister. Yes. Very much, I'm laughing so much about feet on the ground, head out of the clouds. It's like, no, I want both, right? Sometimes I like to hang out in the clouds. I've been told a couple times, you need to come out of the clouds, Gina, and we need to ground you, like physically ground you. Let's get back on the yoga mat and figure that out, or put your feet in the sand and bury them for a few minutes. But the clouds are so lovely. It's just a really sweet, divine place to live.
I love the point you've just made, Gina. It's like both. Have both.
Yeah.
And we don't have to pick. We don't have to put ourselves in a box and just like be one or the other, because obviously we do need to be grounded, and we do need to take care of day-to-day stuff and have, and be responsible. Mm-hmm. But we've got to be able to fly as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I just feel like it's limitless. What you can do, what you can be, who you can serve, how you can serve the world. It's just absolutely limitless. Where in the box, it's dark, it's confining, and it's hard to breathe. It's hard to expand. It's hard to stretch. It feels restrictive. There's so many things, like even my body is just aching and thinking about that. It's like, no, I want to be long and tall and, and also the visibility, right? When you're in the clouds, I mean, think about how you can see who you're serving and what you're doing.
So like the visibility thing is like when you're in the clouds, okay, like it's double-edged, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Because you can see for miles. Your visibility actually is like, whoa, like this is great. But you are also highly visible.
Right. Yes.
And can that make you a target? Yeah, it can. That's like a reality of it. Mm-hmm. But also, can you inspire others? So, earlier when I was talking about there weren't a lot of examples around me. Mm-hmm. And I think that is certainly an experience that many of us have had growing up, not with like feeling something, feeling pulled, but not having examples around us that we can say, oh, yes, it's that. It's that. And it does, I think, take you a bit longer to kind of work it out on your own. And it's interesting to me that in different ways, but we have both ended up taking a stand as an example or as an inspiration, really more for other people to say, oh yeah, I could do that, but I would do it my way.
Absolutely.
And giving them that permission by using the thing we had to kind of I did have to struggle more to be visible, for sure.
Yeah. So what was, I think I took you away from answering one of the questions about so was there a turning point, or what? I think you said it was in your 40s. What pushed you, or did you have an example, or did it just feel right? Like, how did that happen? Because you're, I think, the third person in a row who has told me, or actually fourth they were all podcasters. One is a live radio show. All told me they were introverts. And I just thought, okay, so you got in front of a camera, a microphone, like, how does that happen? I don't understand it. Maybe there's hope for my husband, the introvert, as he's turning 60 this year. Maybe he'll become an extrovert. I don't know. Maybe I should get him his own show.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't, all right. So I have, for me, actually, I was going to say I have a theory, like this just happened to me. That's actually the truth. So I was acting in a more introverted way, and now I act in a more extroverted way. I actually, part of me suspects I've always been extroverted, but didn't know how to follow through. Like that's a possibility. But there was kind of a moment, when we're asked to like pull a moment out of life, and it's kind of in a way you can't, because all these different dominoes hit each other. But it does coalesce to a moment. And I was at a personal development conference in Cancun, Mexico. Like it's just, it was pivotal. And there were a couple of hundred people there, and I was asked to kind of be in the leadership group for the conference. And I was I think I'm going to circle back to this. I was there on my own. So the opportunity to go and to be in leadership happened quite quickly. Mm-hmm. And I still had 3 young children at the time. So I think my youngest was just 3. And someone had to stay home, and this time, unusually, it wasn't me. So I was the one that flew off, and my husband, Richard, stayed home with the 3 children. And so I flew over there, and I can literally remember it's this gorgeous little bijou resort. And it was like, really, it was little and so yummy and gorgeous. The thing about that's important is the conference room was really close to the elevators. And so I was way out of my comfort zone. I could barely breathe for having to, because I was, chatting to people and, welcoming them and showing them, like giving them confidence. And it wasn't something that I was well versed in, like this kind of. So I would do it for about 20 minutes. And then it was like a 1-minute walk to the elevators. I would take the elevator up to my room, and I'd go into my bathroom and I'd splash cold water on my face and go, "Carrie Ann, you can do this. You can do this." And I would go back down again. Right. And so what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I just had the best time. Right. And everybody thought I was just this confident woman that just knew like exactly her place in the world. And I got through it that way. And it's so funny, but I learned I could do it. And I think that I'm a learned extrovert. Like so that was really, that was my pivotal moment. Like if I hadn't been to that elevator, I don't know what would have happened.
Well, so many things. What I love about you, Carrie Ann, is that, so many things. I won't go into them. I think because I try to often tell you what they are. But as a visual person, I love the way you are able to give such, detailed and crisp visuals of what this would look like and feel like. And so that's making me laugh so hard that I'm crying. And thank you for ruining my makeup. But, the other thing is that I'm laughing because I can't even fathom that. For me, human beings, lovely human beings, I have to, happy people. And they don't have to be like jumping for joy happy, but like if somebody is really angry or miserable and they want to make other people feel that way, that to me is toxic personally. It sucks the living day life, the sunshine out of me. But for me, I'm picturing my husband being like you, in that situation. But for me, I'm the exact opposite. I love meeting people like, oh my gosh, another 2 more people are entering, like, oh, 2 new friends. And Mark always is like, you're just insane. I'm not a crack addict, but I think that's probably how I feel about humans, is that it's like this, like the energy of like meeting new people is just so thrilling to me, because I think I love learning, but I don't like watching the news or reading the newspaper. For me, it's learning through people. Like I find people fascinating, just like we were talking about, you started in the UK, in Australia, you're in the UK, and recently I was thinking to myself, oh my God, this is the 3rd place. Cause I was thinking, wait, how do I know that person again? And I was like, wait, was it New York or Charlotte? Now I'm in California, so it's like these people that I met over different times in my life, not a close friend, an acquaintance. That's why I couldn't remember, like, where do I know them from and where are they currently living? But it's like, I think that's why for me, moving was easy to move, because it's like fascinating new people. And the West Coast thinks a bit differently than the East Coast. The Southeast thinks differently than the Northeast. You know what I mean? Like there's different influences on ethnicities. New York was such a melting pot. I thought all over the United States was like that. Then I got to Charlotte and I was like, oh, wow. people thought I was from a different country. I was like, no, I'm from, no, everybody has there's light hair, dark hair, light skin, dark skin, light eyes, dark eyes, all in between. But I realized very quickly that is not the same. So when you left, the UK, that was before you were in your 40s, correct? That was before the because you had your kids.
I was already here, yeah.
So was that scary, not being not being fully out as an extrovert, leaving your home country and to all new people, all new, flavors, all
leaving
new
Australia to come to the UK? I don't know. I came because of a man. Like, why else did you move 10,000 miles across the planet? Well, actually, lots of really good reasons that didn't occur to me at the time. Should have done it under my own steam, but there you go. That's what happened. I thought I'd be here for a couple of years. It's not like I didn't, actually, so that's interesting. You know how I said before about the dominoes? Yeah. I've just I see another domino. So when I got here, obviously I had a young child, and so I didn't have my circle of friends that I left behind in Australia. Right. And had a really great, really close circle of friends that were amazing women, and I didn't want to leave them. I came over here.
It's hard.
A family, and I had to make friends because I had a little kid. And over here they have these things called toddler groups. Yeah, I don't know if they have them there. They didn't have those in Australia.
Okay, play groups, right?
Yeah, but it's really organized over here because back in Oz, I think they just expected you, at least at the time, to get on with it, go to the park, go to the beach, or meet people. Over here, it's like in winter, it's raining, and it's like it has to be organized and it has to be indoors. Yeah. So I staked out 10 toddler groups in my town, and I went and visited all of them. It was hard work. I'd be going to 4 or 5 a week so I could check out people and meet them. And I learned how to meet people. So maybe that was one of my steps to, because before that I'd always met people at work, like in fashion, right? Like you meet a lot of people, and then things shift. You're in a different country. But then I had this, I guess it wasn't an example, but it was a method that had already been planned out for me.
Sure.
In a way. So,
and getting out of our comfort zone like that. And I'm assuming it worked out beautifully, not only for your son.
I made all of these amazing friends, and I kind of clocked it. I was like, I'm pretty good at this. Yeah. And they like me. And, but it still wasn't really my time. It was you know what? It was after I got into business for myself. And I think that in so many ways, I don't think it's business for everything, but there's some kind of step up that you make to something that's really important to you, that feels like something you were called to do. And you no longer have a choice about whether to step forward or not, because your mission will die with you if you don't,
Yes. And that's exactly what Exquisitely Aligned is all about. Yes. So let's continue on that, if you don't mind, because I love the way you said it. I wrote it down so I don't forget. But, those callings are, for me, prior to starting the parent company, Bliss Outfit and Feisty, right before I met you, right? Back in, I think, 2017. If it was that long ago.
But I just love the day that our paths converged, darling.
Yes, absolutely. I will not forget it. And, but it was like this nagging of tossing and turning at night. I got my to-do list done, right? Of what I needed to do for the family, what I needed to do for the house, what I needed to do financially for the family, food, this, that, and the other thing, teaching yoga, teaching paddle boarding. You know, I checked everything off, but I still felt like there was something I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't figure out what on earth is this, you know? And so that's how it felt for me. What about, like, what was that experience for you?
Yeah,
And I think you had kids. Were your kid, you still have kids?
Yeah.
I think, were your kids still young at the time? That's what I can't remember.
Yes. Yeah. So when it kind of clicked, Celeste was 3. So she's my youngest. And I had a 3-year-old, a 7-year-old, and an 11-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I was just emerging, like, you know, when they get to 3 and suddenly you have a little bit more
Yes.
A little bit more
Breathe.
room to get yourself back. Yes. A little bit.
To take a shower.
Yeah. So you heard how I spaced my kids out, right? It's not entirely intentional, but so I had been the mother of a toddler for over a decade, right?
Right.
So if anything's going to like give you impetus to get out of your comfort zone, that's going to be one of them. So I loved mothering and I was an all-in mother.
Mm-hmm.
But after a decade of mothering a small child, I felt I had to do something to find out who I had become in the meantime. Obviously, you know, being a parent doesn't stop you becoming who you are, but it's constantly putting some other person or persons before you a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Not that it has to be that way, but often it is, and it was in my case.
Especially when you have 3 kids, you know, and a spouse. I mean, and you're one human being trying to sleep, eat, and then feed or care or, you know, and I think you were, you did homeschool at some point. I don't know where you got the energy. I need your diet and your recipe book.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think it's only natural as a female to care and love in a way that is so giving that sometimes it can be, I'm going to use the word for me, depleting. I'm not going to use that for you. You can, you know, I'll let you pick your own words, but that struggling for me to find the balance of how do I take care of me? Well, I had an extremely ill husband with a toddler and a kindergartner, you know, a 2-year-old, a kindergartner, you know, and then somebody like croaking in the house. So it was very, very hard to find that balance. And yes, that was an extreme that I hope most people don't ever experience. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I still feel like it's the same. Even if everyone's healthy, I only had 2 kids. Can't imagine having 3, you know, and then families who have 4 or 6 or I don't know, 12, I was going to say. But you know, I hope you train the olders then to help you with the youngers, right? Babysit, so forth. But yeah, I think it's only natural that you're such a loving person that I think it's only natural to do that. So I'll let you, sorry, I interrupted again.
No, but it does happen a lot. It's like, you know, you have that desire to nurture and to give and if you're a driven kind of a person, like if you're always trying, like I've said to my kids so many times, I'll never be perfect, but you have to know I am always trying my best. That's like you. That's how I'm wired, right?
Yes.
And so it was give. And it was fabulous and I loved it. But there did come a time where it was back to me. And actually, when I was telling you I just remembered when I was telling you the little story about going away, there was something I said I'd circle back to and I just recalled it. So I think the fact that I was away on my own, so I wasn't a wife, I wasn't a mother, right. I was a woman out. Nobody knew about my family particularly, nobody knew me, but they didn't know me as wife, mother, Carrie Ann.
Right.
And so it gave me gave me a situation where I gave myself permission to just be me. Okay. And and going through the fear and all the rest of it.
Right.
But one of the things that is it is interesting to me is my now ex-husband. We are very happily divorced from each other, and we're friends. But I'm happily divorced, and he is just this. I call him the all singing, all dancing man. He is just Mr. Extrovert. And he was always, it was like people say, that guy, it's like, he's a one-off. And he was that guy. When I met him, I was fascinated by him because I'd never met someone so kind of out there and extroverted. But what can happen is, especially if you don't have your sea legs with your own kind of presence and visibility, is it's very easy to step into a kind of a supportive role. And I was Mrs. kind of, half interesting in the background, and he was Mr. da 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 da. Yeah. And I think that moment that I stepped out and I just, it's like all bets were off. I was in a different country. I was different place, different situation, new people. And I could just, who do I want to be in this moment? And actually, Carrie Ann came through for me. Thank goodness.
Yeah. And I like to call that being, in a relationship or in a home with a limelight lover. Yeah. And when they want that, or when they need or crave or appreciate the limelight, and we're a giving person, then we are there with the big, the big light, like over here. Oh, you were going over there? Oh, up, okay, down. Okay,
like my best side, darling. Yeah.
Right. We've become the lighting crew, and serve in a supportive way, and take the, behind the scenes or the backstage, and I was not around when my husband was growing up, but now looking back at his parents and things that he's learned since, that's the role his mother played. And, I don't know that that's the role she wanted to play. From the things that we've seen and letters that we've found, it sounds like it really wasn't the role she was hoping for when she was attracted to him, like you're saying, that attraction of like, wow, that's fascinating. He's so extroverted. He is, doesn't mind being seen, heard, blah, blah, blah. But I think a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, I think this happens often is what I want to say.
I think
it can be with a child. I've met families where, there was one star child who was the tennis, thought to be the next, fill in the blank.
Yes.
And the whole family of four, this was a friend of a friend, the whole family of four revolved around this one child. And I came home and I said to my husband, and he goes, I know what you're going to say, you could feel that I was like, this is, I tried changing the subject. What do you like to do? Where do you vacation? Oh, all of our vacations are around her tennis tournaments. Are they called tournaments? Whatever, games, and I just felt bad for the younger daughter. I also felt like, in my opinion, it's the parents' place to, like you were saying to your children, I'm not going to be perfect, right? And I always say I'm never going to win the Mother of the Year award because I never put my name in the hat. I'm not trying to be the Mother of the Year. I am really here to show you how to be the best you can be and be happy and fulfilled and contribute to society at the same time. I'm not going to be the one making your sandwiches and giving you cookies and sweets and writing a little note. I was never that mom. I didn't, it didn't start off that way because I had a very ill husband and I was falling apart myself. Yeah. But, it can be hard when somebody needs more. But I love the fact that you were away and took that opportunity to not walk around and say, I am so-and-so's wife. I am the mother. And you know what? That brings up a point that I think needs to be spoken about. I always feel like whatever comes is what the universe wants expressed, or the creator, however you want to see it. But for me, it was frustrating when I started using Facebook and found that people's profile picture was of their animal or their children. And not of themselves. It's like, I don't know what your dog looks like. So should I accept this friend request? You know? And I really don't know how.
Or is this a fake dog?
Yes, exactly. Like, am I being scammed? What is going on here? And I still have had a few friend requests recently that, you know, the header was a beautiful sunset, which I love. And then the photo was of a pet. And I thought, I'm not even sure I know who this person is. And, you know, how much time am I going to have to take to scroll through to see if there is even a photo of them?
Yeah.
And I feel like we are called to appear, because if we don't, the world is missing that nugget of who Carrie Ann Cartmar Edwards is. And so to think that you were told to be ordinary and, you know, keep your head out of the clouds is just a little bit, you know, heartbreaking.
Well, I'm not very good at following orders, though, thank goodness.
Well, and so do you have any tips for somebody who has been following the rules, or, you know, following orders, or like, how would you suggest that maybe they, you know, kind of experience or play with, you know, breaking free? Besides going to Mexico, you know, and taking a leadership role near an elevator, you know. So.
Yeah, crazy stuff, isn't it? Well, I guess, you know, the thing is, and I think we know this, is you have, first of all, you have to feel it calling you. Like, if you don't feel it calling you, then you're not going to be listening to us today anyway. So.
Right.
And I think that, so it's been a very interesting journey for me. I think that, you know, they say that most people, like they used to say, like people teach what they most needed to learn. Mm-hmm. And I think that, was said in a kind of a negative way in past times, but I think there's a really great kernel of truth to it, is what we're learning. If we become fascinated by it and we become excited by it and excited by how far we've come in, you know, in mastering some of the steps of that thing that feels important to us, of course, we want to help others. We want to share what we've learned and pay it forward. And I think that in order to be able to do that, in order to be able to lift other people up, and I think that, you know, we feel that need. It's like you do have to, at some point, there's going to come a time where you know that you got to, like, pull on your big girl panties and do it. So the calling is there. It's pulling you towards it. And I think that so what I do now in my work is I show people, I guess, the ways in which I call it, so I work with entrepreneurs. So this is not a conversation about entrepreneurs. And so I call it for them uncovering your unfair advantage. But what it really is uncovering your secret sauce. And everybody has a secret sauce.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it's you, it's your history, your passion, your mission, your, all the situations you've been in, the experiences, the fact that you did French at high school instead of German, like it all adds up, and you become this unique individual. There's never ever been another one just like you on the planet, and there never will be. And stepping into that and embracing it and going, okay, yes, I am not perfect. I am always trying, but I am unique. And if I don't put myself out into the world, then the world misses out on this thing that only I have. And it's not in a way of like, oh, nobody else is going to be as good at it as me. It's like, it's just, I'm here for a reason. And if this is the reason, I'm really going to step up.
Yes. Yes. And so I just had a conversation with Arnie in Thailand last week, and he was saying exactly that, you know, it goes beyond just being us. And I think from that big heart that you were speaking about, us wanting to help people, there's a different way of helping people and being that example, like you're talking about, and helping your entrepreneurs shine and own their, what I like to call exquisiteness, uniqueness, authenticity, whatever there's, many different ways we can describe it. And it has to come from you, what that feels like, right? Because it's your own. But, when we do that, I feel like like you were talking about earlier, that visual of the head in the clouds, we become visible. Right? We have that great visibility as we can look down and see the bigger picture of, it's not just your 3 kids or my 2 kids, my 2 dogs and my elderly cat, you know what I mean? And Mark sitting there, but it goes beyond our home. It goes beyond our city. I mean, I love when I read, your bio, it's the world over. And I agree with that completely, because I remember years ago, decades ago, when I started practicing yoga and then moved into teaching. I don't remember where, but the statistics show that we influence, each of us, touch 10,000 lives in our one lifetime. So it's beyond the walls of our home or our extended family. It goes far beyond, because as you help your entrepreneur shine, right? I think you're mostly with women, but I know you do work with many smart men who know to hire you. And she then goes out and touches however many people. So it's this cascading effect of, we're here more than just to feed ourselves and, travel, listen to music, drink bubbly, and share lipstick tips, right? In Marrakesh. No, but it goes far beyond.
Still my beating heart.
Yes, yes. But it goes so far beyond. And I think that one thing I love about the work you do and the work I do is that they're very similar in the effect of helping people understand that sometimes helping someone else doesn't look the way we think it is. It doesn't have to be holding that spotlight and letting that one person shine. Because really, when we both shine, that's when we light the way for others, versus just one person's out there shining. And if we have the ability to touch 10,000 lives, then why not both of us be, or that family of 4 with the one daughter shining, why not all 4 of you shine and think about, how you're influencing.
I love what you're saying, Gina.
Well, thank you, my dear friend.
That's so powerful. Like it is incumbent upon all of us to shine. Like that's, if we want to make a difference, which I believe that we all are here to make a difference. Yes. There's a reason we're here, and it's going to take all of us shining.
Yes.
to make the change that we want to see in the world, right?
Yes, most definitely. And so I'd like to, if you have a moment, to talk about what it's like because I loved when you said, when you're that visible, right, from the clouds. I just had an experience recently where I shared something in a group, a Facebook group, and the responses I got were more negative than positive of something I had worked months on.
Right.
And it was a finished project, and I opened that can of worms, I call it crowdsourcing your confidence by asking, what do you think,
Right.
And I realize now that I shouldn't have asked, what do you think? I should have just said, I'm so excited to announce that this baby is now born. It took 4.5 months, and just wanted to share it with you because I know we're all entrepreneurs, that I know as entrepreneurs, it's like a proud moment when we get to release our little, or display our little baby to the world. So here I am announcing it. But I realized very quickly that I did something that goes completely against it being exquisitely aligned, which was I asked, what do you think? And I got responses that didn't feel good. They felt like arrows into my heart because, again, this is my baby. Of course, it's a brand video. It's not a real baby, but, and so how have you ever had any experiences? And I'll leave you with, my kids one time told me years ago when I started as an entrepreneur, this was, I think, before I met you, but I had gotten some really not nice responses on Facebook to an ad I was running, and my kids started singing, Mom, haters are going to hate. So I was being parented on the beach while on vacation in Hilton Head by my two kids about, what it feels like when you are in the clouds, and that there are going to be some people. So, I said, Taylor Swift, it was on to something there, right? But have you ever had any experiences, and what would you, what were your takeaways from that? I mean, I had a good hearty chuckle from my kids. So now anytime I feel that way, I hear the two of them singing for me. But, being in the clouds, I loved when you said that visibility does bring out sometimes some people who might, I look at you, Carrie Ann, and I see a brilliant woman who is not only, brilliant in the brain, but very talented and gifted. And you own that, and you show up beautifully. You're sparkling. You wear your red lipstick, which I'm a fan of, and you always have exquisite jewelry. Your hair is always done. And sometimes I have to say, it's not typically men, but sometimes women may come. I want to say, I don't know, is it jealousy? Is it competition? I don't know that they wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to try and bring Carrie Ann out of the clouds and knock her down. I don't think that, but I wonder, what goes through their mind maybe, and more so, how does it feel for you? Have you ever had that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think I'm going to segue off a little bit here because I think that people can feel a little bit unsure about people who are really themselves. It's like, I'm not sure what the psychology behind it is. So I think that it can feel a bit uncomfortable for people. And I do think that people have sometimes a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to stuff. I'm in mind, and only because I talked about it, I guess it's come back into my head. When I first arrived in the UK, and I'm stalking toddler group for friends, right? And I found these two gals who I just really liked. They were just really bubbly and they were funny. They used to banter together, and they were clever and funny. And I thought, right, they're going to be my friends. And years later, I found out that between themselves, they were saying, oh, like that woman with the red lipstick, she just keeps hanging about. She wants to be our friend, but I'm not sure about her. But I won them over, right?
Of course.
So it's not like they didn't want to be my friend, but I was a little different,
Yeah.
I was wearing my red lipstick. Like when I say that I came out, it's not like I was ever a wallflower in the early days. I just stepped into me. But, I was a little bit out of their comfort zone. And I think sometimes people do it for that reason. Some people are just mean. It makes them feel better to run someone else down. But there's a lovely saying. I don't know where it comes from, but I think I literally have it on my Facebook header at the moment. And it says, you will shine too brightly for some people.
Yes.
They're not your people. It's as simple as that. They are not your people. Just find your people. You know, that's part of my mission in the world, is to connect people with their people. That's all. Like, we just want to be around people that like us, that get us, that make us, you know, smile, that lift us up. Like, look for those people in your life. Be those people for other people. It's like, again, it's all shining, isn't it? And some people like have like they glow. And some people, you know, have got all the lights shooting off like a disco ball, and they're both good. But be with your people, but shine. Whatever way feels comfortable for you, shine.
Yeah. Yes. And it's been, so I don't even remember if I finished the thought earlier about the research that I was doing after I was asking Mark, you know, what is it about, you know, being told to be ordinary or fit in the box of the one size fits all. And the psychology came back that it goes back to tribes and keeping people safe. I mean, really safe from intruders, safe from people who were trying to steal your land, your gardens, your mountains, your hills, your, you know, everything that you owned. And so once I realized that, it was like, wow, okay, this is not deep. Something. Yeah, it is deep. It's long lasting. It's part of our nature to, like you were just saying, find your people. I know people call it tribes. I don't usually use that word. I don't think you do either, but finding your people that do, you know, like me, I said, people inspire me. It's like crack. I love it. But, you know, finding those people and the way to it, which you alluded to, or maybe you even stated, because I get so excited when I listen to you, is that when we do come out and in full force as our authentic self, as our exquisite self, as our unforgettable self, we quickly attract those people. It's like, you know, you are visible. You are in the clouds. People see you. They come towards you, you know, like the two moms, you know, like, hey, she's hanging around. We're a little intrigued, but, you know, we're not understanding, why is she wearing red lipstick to play group, or what we call play group, you know, but, and it's like, well, you know, honestly, when you wear red lipstick, I did research on that too. When you wear lipstick, people can hear you better. It's actually been proven that earrings and lipstick, lip gloss, whatever you want to wear, keep the visual between, instead of looking up at the eyes, they look here at the mouth. And yes, I worked in the jewelry business. That was one of our pitches. Yes.
I love it.
But you know, in public speaking, obviously, if you're a female, and I'm not saying you have to wear red lipstick, but, you know, any kind of lip gloss, people are more likely to look at your lips and be able to hear what you're saying better.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. Because what is it? 7% of what we hear, you know, what we absorb from somebody is the spoken word. It's more about the essence of how they're, you know, what's the word? Your body language and so forth. But so we'll promote some red lipstick today. But you know, it's fascinating. So how do you, like, even with your children, have you ever had to give them advice of, you know, them being seen, and maybe somebody is not on board, let's say, or not being so polite with a comment, whether on social media or in person or in behind the scenes? Have you ever had that with you or your kids?
I guess I'm just trying to think. In a way, I don't know if you can't really counter that. I don't think you can like say anything logical that will help in that situation. But what I've always done, and I know you do too, is, and I do this not just for my kids, but for everyone, I just tell people how freaking awesome they are. Like,
right.
it's not like, don't listen to the other people because they don't know what they're talking about. It's like, I just say, they clearly don't get it because you are so freaking amazing. I can't believe that you are in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's actually what they need to hear. Is if you've got one person who totally is all in on you, then it's like the other people, they're just not your people.
Well, and I think the other people like you, Carrie Ann, who are saying, wow, Celeste is, let's use your daughter. Celeste is phenomenal. They're not always saying it, you know what I mean? But they're thinking it and they're feeling it.
Yeah.
So the percentage of people who might be saying something that's not so beautiful or polite or thrilling and energizing, uplifting, I think it's very small. And so I try to remember that, oftentimes it's usually not us, it's something else, and, yes, but having those cheerleaders or the person who says, remember, I think you're phenomenal and I can't imagine not having you next to me or beside me on this journey in life or whatever that is, or to be able to call you a friend. So that's phenomenal. So Carrie Ann, I want to pick a card from the Opening to Possibilities deck, which you know very well. And so I shuffled them a little before. And although I just came back from Vegas for a business trip, I am definitely never going to be a dealer because I'm not very good at shuffling, but I did shuffle them earlier and I'm just going to shuffle them a little more again because I know I don't do a Vegas shuffle, as you can see, I'm dropping them. But I'm going to just push through and you just tell me when to stop and I'll pull out the card.
Okay. Now.
Okay. Oh, of course. Oh, wrong way. This way. Gusto.
Hey, gusto. I like it.
And I think that definitely speaks to who you are, because I think you live with gusto and help others bring out their gusto in a way to be visible. So it says, live each day with gusto. I'm going to read you 3 questions. You can answer 1 or more, whatever you like, or you could change it up completely. So live each day with gusto. Do you live fully? How do you make each moment count? What is one thing you can do today to live more fully?
Okay. Do I live fully? I want to give you an honest answer. So this is interesting. Do I live fully? Obviously, I'm fully alive. But there are moments in life, isn't it? So don't be down on yourself if you're not, if you're not the disco ball while you're cooking dinner. That's okay, right?
If you are the disco ball while you're cooking dinner, can you make my dinner? I'll give you my address. I'll pay you.
So being fully in a moment, there are times to be more contained and there are times to be louder. There are times when you're doing something that needs to get done, and there are times when you have to step up on stage into the spotlight and dazzle. And they're all good times. So living fully is judging the quality that you need in that moment to show up with fully present. So fully present has nuance, right? A lot of nuance to it. So do I live fully? Yes, I live fully. I'm convinced of that.
I agree.
I try and make the most of every opportunity that is given to me. I try and look at every day and every experience and every little thing that comes to me. I try and look at it with fresh eyes and excitement. Hand me the rose-colored glasses. Yes.
And it's such a healthy thing. I think sometimes I know I was I was put down for wearing rose-colored glasses, and I was like, "Oh, I think they're fabulous," you know. And I think being able to see those opportunities and opening yourself up to them is how you've become so successful in every facet of your life. And I'm not just talking about your business, but as a mother, as a daughter, as, you know, all the different things that you do in the world. Because I've liked watching you over the years as to, you know, how you show up and the opportunities you step into that kind of stretch you in a way, right? Challenge you to find the elevator or sprinkle water on your face. But you know what I mean? Like, because they're not always comfortable, right? But they are, in the end, they prove to be, I want to use the word amazing, but that's so downplayed.
Yeah. But it's life-changing. Exciting. It's exciting to find out what you're capable of, isn't it, Gina?
Yes. Yes.
And that is like, when you were talking earlier about being a crack addict, it's like that is like crack cocaine, is like finding out what you're capable of. That's like, that gets you out of bed in the morning. Yes.
And it's a reason to be alive. In yoga, there was a yogi who said, like hundreds of years ago, if you're not, you know, going to wake up and learn something new, discover something new about yourself, then there's no reason to be alive, you know? And so it's not always about getting it right. And like you said, being perfect, but exploring what brings you joy, what leads you to feeling that gusto of life, of being you know, when you pass the mirror and being like, wow, I learned how to jump out of an airplane today. I'm not going to say that, but you know what I mean? Like, so, and did you want to do the last one too? The last question?
Tell me what the last one was again.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Going off in a tangent.
Do you live fully? How do you make each moment count? What is one thing you can do today to live more fully?
Oh, what's one thing you can do today to live more fully? Gosh. You might have stumped me. No, something will come.
You appeared today in the United States, so that's a fun thing. But
yes, it is fun. It just came to me. Do something like this. So go and hang out with one of the coolest people you know, and just have their energy around them, just like I am doing with you at the moment. Amazing woman. Like, that's something you can really do.
Yes. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you know how I feel about you. But it's, I think even recently, Mark and I were talking about, you know, life kind of changed after 2020 for, I think, a lot of people. And so bringing that to light right now is beautiful, because I've had conversations recently with new friends here in California, and they said, you know, before 2020, we had plans almost every night. We knew who we hung out with, you know, on a Thursday, once a month, beginning of the month, we saw these friends from the club and we did this on that day. And she said, and now we find we're like comfortable at home, which I'm not saying don't be comfortable at home, because I'm all about having a sacred space that supports you. And like you were talking about earlier, that balance of knowing when to be the disco ball and when to cull it down. If we're always the disco ball, then I think we're exhausted. And maybe even falling apart, you know, because it's you have to take that disco ball down and shine it up every once in a while, right? And turn it off, and you know, and so finding that balance and so forth, and coming out of the house maybe, or connecting via the internet to have a cup of tea and share a conversation like this. Is just so energizing. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the compliment. And I do believe that is something I love that you gave a voice to this morning, because I think it does need to be heard, that we need to come out and do those things again. So thank you on so many levels, Carrie Ann. And thank you so much for stepping out of your comfort zone in many different ways to help others shine brilliantly. And for the entrepreneurs like myself who have worked with you, to be able to establish, and set myself apart from others of the sea of sameness, I think is something I'll ever be indebted to you for, because it's something I value tremendously, is being able to appear in a way that's different. And I can even just say from a business card. I'm not talking about all the things that you help
I gotta
with.
say, Gina,
Card.
I'm so glad you found me, and I'm so proud of the work we did together. But I would say to anybody trying to make you fit the mold, good luck with that.
Right. Yeah, not so. The feisty side kind of comes out, right? Yes.
Yeah, a beautiful match, my darling, and I'm so very grateful to have you in my life, and thank you for uplifting my day with this beautiful meeting as well.
Thank you. And so you can find Carrie Ann's information below, and I encourage you highly to connect with her. Just click on the link. And Carrie Ann, I think that you might have an offer. Do you have something they can sign up for on your website? I forgot to ask you that before.
Currently, I'm just about to launch a very exciting retreat. So if they kind of get in my world, friend me on Facebook, or I'm not really on Instagram that much. I'm a Facebook kind of a gal. Friend me up, because I'd love to be connected, and that way you can find out what I'm up to.
Yes, and I would highly recommend that, because I know little bits and pieces of what's coming up. And let me just say, it's very exciting and colorful and shiny and brilliant, and with, I would say, life-changing things for your business, offers for your business, and allowing you to soar in a way that maybe you haven't yet. And if you are soaring, it can take you even higher, so that you are even up higher in the clouds. So thank you, Carrie Ann, for being who you are and showing up beautifully and brilliantly, just the way you do every day for all of us, and being that example that we so often need in our lives. And following you on Facebook is just one way of being able to see that and being inspired each and every day. So thank you. I greatly appreciate it.